And so here's that moment, right? When your partner says no, but you really, really want them to say yes. Alyssa, you have this boundary. You've shared this boundary with Justin. It's your responsibility to enforce this boundary. Where like, I'm on one side, here's the problem, and then he's on the other side. Instead of, hey, we're both on the same side of the table. Here's the problem. How are we going to tackle this together? Before we begin, I'd like us to take a moment to name the intention behind this space. This is Codependency Alchemy, a space for people who are tired of overthinking their relationships or shrinking themselves to feel chosen. I'm Alyssa, and I do this work because I've lived it. I have not arrived at some destination of healed, nor will I ever claim to be. I am here for the journey, and I'm here to share that journey with you. At the heart of this work is my soul's mission to heal the mother wound, to be seen and witnessed in the things that we tend to hide from or reject. Over the last 4 seasons, this podcast has grown to one of the top 100 relationship shows, and we're just getting started. Before we begin, I have a favor to ask. Pause for just a second to make sure you're subscribed. If you're ready for honesty, more self-trust, and more peace in your relationships, then you're in the right place. Hey babes, let's talk about when your partner says no and you really, really wanted them to say yes. I know for me, this comes up in my relationship all the time because I tend to be the one in the relationship that likes to socialize and spend time with friends. And Justin very much is the opposite of that. And I think that most of us are dating the same person. You know, the guy who could stay in, doesn't really need to see his friends, and could play video games all day. And so in the past, in my relationship with Justin, this was something that I have realized I did a lot of, which was covertly manipulate him to get him to do the thing that I wanted him to say yes to. I would do this in a few different ways. I'm going to name a few, and maybe they'll resonate with you. Maybe you'll notice that you do this too, and maybe it'll bring some curiosity to, oh, is this actually a healthy thing that I do, and is it actually helping my relationship? So one of the things that I would do when I really wanted Justin to say yes, but I was pretty sure he would say no, is I would withhold the information from him. Meaning I would plan for, let's say, dinner with friends, and I would put it on my calendar and I would note it, but I wouldn't tell him about it until that day. I would be like, oh, hey, just so you know, we're getting dinner with so-and-so tonight. I wouldn't ask him, hey, are you open to getting dinner with so-and-so on Wednesday night? I would just say, hey, this is what we're doing tonight. So 1, I didn't give him an option, and 2, I didn't give him much time to even process the information. And that was the way that I was trying to control him doing the thing that I wanted him to do. That was one of the ways. Another one of the ways that I manipulated him to try to get him to do things that I wanted him to do is I would guilt him if he did say no. So if he was like, I really don't want to go to the blah, blah, blah. I don't want to go to the birthday party. I don't want to go to the Friendsgiving, whatever it is. I would guilt him by saying something like, everyone's expecting you to be there. What is so-and-so going to think? Just something to elicit some form of guilt. So you're going to make me go by myself. And that was in hopes that that guilt would change his mind. And 9 times out of 10, it did. He would agree, he would go, and he would be so sour the entire time. Because he's going begrudgingly. He didn't go out of an authentic desire to go, an autonomous desire to go. He's going because I either manipulated him to go by not giving him a choice or by guilting him to go where he felt worse if he didn't. But what I didn't realize is that in that lack of autonomy and choice, he felt controlled, like any person would, right? Like it makes sense to me now. I didn't consciously know that I was doing this then. It took a lot of self-reflecting. It took a lot of being honest with myself. It took a lot of me being willing to see another perspective in this type of dynamic and relationship and how I was showing up. And I could see now why he was so miserable in our relationship before we had broken up. He didn't want to go to anything. He got to the point where he adamantly refused to do anything. And to me, I'm like, that makes sense too. He's just trying to regain some semblance of power, of choice, of autonomy. And so now it's me versus you, right? For me, it's me versus Justin because I want him to do the thing that I want him to do. And for him, it's me versus him. I have to have some sort of power and control in this. Otherwise, I'm powerless, right? And so we're both just in this power dynamic. And one of us is the victim, the one who is being guilted or shamed, or I can play the victim by being like, I have to do everything on my own. Needless to say, I think we can all agree that this doesn't work. Can we all agree that this doesn't work? I'm pretty sure we can all agree that this pattern is not helping us feel more connected, more loving, more, excited and happy in our relationships. And so are we willing to perhaps try another way? Perhaps we can just maybe explore it, just dip our toe in. So I'm going to give you guys a real-time example because this just happened a couple weeks ago. Because you know me, just over here still bobbing up and down in patterns and still learning, still a student of this, healthy relationship progression, I would like to hope and think. Okay, so here's what happened. Every single month, Justin and I go with our friends, our neighbors actually, to trivia. It's a routine. We've done it for a year now. It's just 1 week a month. That was our happy medium. Justin was like, I think I could do this once a month. I think more than that might be a stretch. And I'm like, once a month sounds great. We're a team, right? Which is going to be a big piece here. We're a team. Let's do that. So our trivia night comes up and I always remind him ahead of time, oh, hey, remember this week's trivia? Did that. He acknowledged, he agreed, got it, trivia Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. Well, Tuesday rolls around. He agrees earlier in the day. I go run errands. I can't remember what I did that day, but I came back home. It was dumping outside. Dumping. Like the heaviest it has rained in Portland all winter. And I walk in and Justin is just a huge grump. And he doesn't pretend not to be. He was like, I am just super grumpy right now and I'm not going to trivia. Just plain as day. And so here's that moment, right? When your partner says no, but you really, really want them to say yes. I wanted to see my neighbors that night. I wanted to go to trivia that night. I had a desire for us to all be together. It's what we've done for a year. I prefer it that way. It's an expectation. It's something in my mind that's like, we all go together. And so there's a few things that I did that night when he said, I'm really grumpy. I'm not in the mood. I don't want to go to trivia tonight. I want to name the things that I did that I wish I would have done differently. And I'm going to tell you what I wish I would have done instead and why. First, I wish I would have listened to him and respected his choice. That's the first thing. He is a sovereign human whom I love. I have to remember that his choices are not personal. And this is what I have a tendency of doing. I make his no mean something about me. I take his no personally. And so I have to remember that he has choices just as much as I have choices. And the most loving thing I can do is respect them. Now, do I think this can be a slippery slope? Yes, absolutely. In fact, I've found myself in the slippery slope with Justin before. But in this specific scenario with trivia, every single month for a year, this man has gone to trivia. He hasn't put up a fight. He hasn't gone begrudgingly. He's gone, he's played, he's had a good time. We enjoy ourselves for a year. So for 12 months, he's never been like, I'm not going to trivia. So can I reality check for myself for a moment? Because I think what I do is I say, he said no, he's going to say no for the rest of time. I just go to catastrophizing and thinking that he is never going to go to trivia ever again. I have to give him grace in this moment. What I wish I would have done differently is respected his no and considered what else might be going on in his life and that day that might lead him to making that decision. Can I seek to understand my partner in this instead of just being like, but I really wanted to go to trivia? Like, do you see how like self-absorbed that can be? I want this and I want you to want it too right now. And I'm not even willing to consider what you've got going on and why this is a no for you. And so I want to be a better partner and at least consider that this isn't a personal, like he wants to take away my socializing for the day. It's just he is not in a place to go and enjoy this thing in the way that is going to feel good for everyone involved. You know, me and our friends, like we all want to have a good time. We don't want to worry about if he's okay or not when he's clearly already communicated that he's not. So that's the first thing I wish I would have done differently and why I wish I would have done it that way. The second thing I wish I would have done differently is let him take responsibility for canceling. I tend to take responsibility for whenever he says he can't make something. I tend to be the one that's like, oh, hey, Justin can't make it. Or, hey, Justin, has something going on. Like, I tend to be the one to communicate to our friends or our family, whoever, why Justin can't make it or that he can't make it when that's not my responsibility. And it avoids him having to confront and take responsibility for his own choices and actions. That isn't helpful either, because what ends up happening is I become resentful because then I have to communicate to these people about why he's not going. I mean, I don't have to, but people ask questions and then I'm the person who has to have these conversations. And I've talked to Justin about this in the past and said, when you decide not to do something or go to something, I get asked the questions. And so what I'm going to do moving forward is let you take responsibility for canceling if that's what you feel called to do. And I'm just going to respect your choice in that. But I'm not going to be the one that has to give the news. Like, I'm going to let you handle the news and the questions that people have. Okay. I haven't upheld that boundary that I set. I tend to still sometimes be the one who conveys the message that Justin's not going. And so I was also reminded, Alyssa, you have this boundary. You've shared this boundary with Justin. It's your responsibility to enforce this boundary. So what I wish I would have done differently is told him, I totally understand why you don't want to go to trivia tonight. Just go ahead and text our friends and let them know that you can't make it and ask them if they want to just reschedule for next week. I wish I would have invited him and encouraged him to do that work, because he doesn't have, I don't ever make him do that work. I do that fucking work for him. And what am I going to be eventually at the end of the day? Resentful, because I have to do all the heavy lifting, but I am doing the heavy lifting without him asking me to. I'm doing it because the respectful thing to do in my friendships and my relationships is to be transparent and communicate and tell people what is going on, right? Like, that is the respectful, responsible thing to do. But I don't need to be responsible for him if he's making a choice. Does that make sense? So moving forward, when these sorts of things happen and Justin says, yes, I'm going, but then he changes his mind, I am going to just gently let him know, sounds good. I hear you changed your mind. Go ahead and let them know. Every time I have held that boundary, Justin has done it. And he hasn't been like, this is ridiculous. You're the one who talks to them. You should do it. Like, he's never put up a fight. So I have to also remind myself of that, because I think I'm afraid it's going to make things worse. But it only makes things worse if I do it and then I become resentful at him over it. And then now I'm like treating him differently because I'm annoyed at him. When all I need to do in that moment is be like, okay, yeah, just go ahead and let them know. It can be as simple as that. Even if he did get grumpy over that, because he might, That's again his thing. Like, he can be grumpy around canceling. He can be upset. He can be uncomfortable. I think we're so terrified of our partners being uncomfortable, but me carrying that responsibility and doing it is making me uncomfortable. So I need to stop making myself uncomfortable to try to protect his discomfort. That's not helping him grow, and it will only cause more tension between us. I hope that makes sense. So that's the second thing that I wish I would have done differently and what I would have done instead and why. All right, I took notes because you know me, I'll go on tangents and we'll be here forever. The third thing that I wish I would have done differently, this kind of correlates with the first one. I wish I would have just said, is there anything that you need support on? I just went into my own world, which I mean, we're human. That's what we do. We're kind of like self-obsessed, whether we want to admit it or not. I went into my whole world of, I had an expectation of how today was going to go and how tonight was going to go. And now that expectation is shattered because of a choice that you're making. And I was just thinking, me, instead of just being like, what is my partner experiencing right now? Can I seek to understand him? And as a partner, can I ask him if there's anything that he needs support on? I wish I would have had more of an appreciation of him being open and honest with me about his feelings instead of basically making him feel bad about it. Because here's what I did, you guys. It's just so covert. It's just so covert, and it makes me feel creepy crawly in my fucking skin. We went for a walk. I told you guys it was dumping rain, right? You remember? It was dumping rain. So to add to the grump factor, we went for our walk because we're trying to do 10K steps every day, and we are succeeding so far. Luckily, that was the worst walk we had to do. And we agreed that if it's ever dumping like that, we're just going to go to the gym and walk on a treadmill. As boring as that may be, it's way better than being soaking wet on your walk. Like, my shoes are destroyed. They were completely drenched by the time I got home. I digress. So on the walk, because we're also trying to eliminate sugar and gluten from our diets, we usually get dinner at this place that we do trivia. And so I started coming up with all these ideas like, oh, I looked at their menu. We could order this. We could order that. We could order this. Like, getting him hopefully in the mindset of going, and he was engaging in the conversation like, oh yeah, that is right. We could do that. We could do this. And I was like, okay, got him on board. We're going. We have a plan for dinner. I thought that I was getting it. And then I had mentioned something else trivia related, and he was engaged in the conversation. I thought I totally changed his mind. Do you see how this was me trying to control the situation? Maybe you don't see how it was me trying to control the situation, but as much as I really hate to admit it, that was me being covertly manipulative. I was like, oh, dinner this. Oh, we could eat this. Should we pack this so that we have this as a snack just in case that doesn't feel like enough? Like, all these things to just kind of be like, yeah, we're going. And as soon as we walked in the house from our walk, he just looks me dead in the eyes and he goes, I'm not going to trivia, Alyssa. And I was just like, fine. So I was grumpy. I got cold. I didn't respect his no. I thought I had convinced him in my covert ways to go. And so again, I'm frustrated because I didn't win. And that is the thing that I really want to just highlight, is that this is like a winning thing, which puts us in me versus them. That does not serve anyone. It does not serve our relationships. It keeps us in separation. In this moment, I wish I would have reality checked myself and told myself, Justin has gone every single time, every single month. He's never put up a fight. He's never complained. Can I just consider that this no is not personal and that this no does not mean it's going to be a no forever? Can I have some grace, and can I have some compassion, and can I stand on the same side of the situation with him? I think we put the problem or the situation that is in front of us and we see it as the thing in between us, where we're like, I'm on one side, here's the problem, and then he's on the other side. Instead of, hey, we're both on the same side of the table, here's the problem. How are we going to tackle this together? And so that's how I could have turned to him and said, hey, thanks for telling me your no and why it's a no for you. Is there anything I can do to support you? And then if you said no again after this, I can then bring to the table, hey, I'm really concerned that you're going to continue to say no to this thing that we made a compromise on. Can you help me understand where you're coming from? Do we need to reevaluate this compromise? But we've gone to trivia since then, you guys, and he didn't put up a fight and he didn't complain about it, and we went as normal. No issues whatsoever, and we had a good time. We didn't win. We should have won, but we didn't. We'll win next time. But this is what I want to remember moving forward is 1, listen to my partner and respect their choice. Seek to understand them rather than taking their choice personally. The second thing I wish to do moving forward is not take responsibility for something that is his. If he is making a choice and saying no to something that maybe he had already agreed to or has RSVP'd to, that he takes responsibility and lets those people know why he's not going rather than me taking on that responsibility because it's not mine. And he can be grumpy about it. That's not mine either. I can let his discomfort be his discomfort, and I know for a fact that that will make me uncomfortable, and I have tools to regulate myself when I'm making his discomfort me my discomfort. That's a whole nother topic. Thirdly, I wish I would have remembered that we sit side by side and the problems and situations sit in front of us. It's not me versus him. It's us against the problem. And I wish I would have turned to him and said, is there anything that you need for support right now? Is there anything I can do to help or support you right now? That's how I wish I would have shown up in that moment, because the last thing that I want my partner to think is that his feelings, his choices don't matter, that my feelings and choices are more important than his. That is what I experienced and received as a child, and oftentimes we don't realize that we end up being that way to other people that we love in our lives if we do not bring our awareness to these types of patterns and dynamics. And so I do not want to treat him as I was treated. I want to be different. I want to grow. I want to evolve. I want to hold compassion for myself and not shame or guilt myself, because sometimes that can come in, right? I can look at all this and be like, wow, just like my parents, like in the worst ways. Or I could say, whoa, I did this thing that is just inherent in me sometimes, and that's okay, because I'm willing to look at it, and I'm also willing to actually contemplate and consider other ways to handle situations like this in the future so that I can be better. I'm not going to be perfect, but at least I am trying. And you are trying, because you are here with me, and I love you so much. And I'm glad we get to do this together, because the shit is messy. And I want you to now take a moment, take a few seconds and scroll down to the comments, because we are going to take a moment to reflect. What is something that your partner has said no to that you really, really, really wanted them to say yes to? A birthday party, dinner, a date night, sex, whatever it is. What is something that they said no that you really, really wanted them to say yes to? And I want you to write this in the comments. What are you making their no mean about you? Because the reason why we get so heated is because we're taking it personally. We are making it mean something about us or our relationship. So I am making their no mean what? Go ahead, take a moment. And like I said, write it out. Please just write it out. I don't care if you hit send. I don't care if you click the post button. Just take a moment to at least witness yourself by writing it out, by typing it out. You know what I mean? And if you desire to be witnessed in it, because that is how we heal, the mother wound is by being seen and witnessed in each other's shares. You can go back and look at previous episodes from this season, and people are doing it. And it's so exciting to witness each other, because even me, as I'm reading these comments, I'm like, girl, same. Are you in my house? Like, I'm experiencing that too. And it just feels so good to know that you're not alone in these things. And that compassion that we feel for another person when we witness them and their share is what heals the mother wound. Because when we have compassion for somebody else who is experiencing that pain or that situation that we also resonate and relate to, that compassion comes back to us. If I have compassion for you doing that thing that I do, then guess what? I have compassion for myself, because sometimes having compassion for ourselves is literally the hardest fucking thing we can do. At least my experience. I have compassion for everyone else. I'm like, I get why you did what you did, girl. I get why you did what you did, babe. It makes sense why you did that. But when I do it, I'm like, shame on you. Don't you know better? How could you? I'm so much better now, but sometimes that still comes in, you know? You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe you don't know what I mean. Maybe it's just me, but I doubt it's just me. Okay, that's my invitation for you guys. Please go ahead and share that in the comments, or at least share it with yourself. Have an honest moment. Hold some compassion for yourself. Let yourself feel that care and that love for yourself and that gratitude for yourself for being curious, because that is so, so, so important. And I hope you give yourself grace as you explore this. Don't forget, if you want to continue these conversations, make sure you subscribe over on our Codependency Alchemy Substack. You can join as a free subscriber. You can join as a paid subscriber and get access to our private community chat, where we chat there every single freaking day on things we're celebrating, on things we're stuck on all the things. Mostly, it's a community of pretty freaking amazing people, and there's no place I'd rather be, to be honest. I'll leave all the details in the show notes or description box below, so make sure you go check it out. I love you all so much. It was good hanging out with you. I'll see you next time. Bye.